The man in the hallway. Ever since Sarah moved into her new apartment in Chicago, something felt off. The old building was known for its gothic architecture and dimly lit hallways. But it wasn't just that. The walls seemed to whisper whenever she walked past. And at night, she could hear footsteps echoing in the hallway, even though she knew all her neighbors were already asleep. At first, she thought it was just her imagination, maybe the stress from the move or the pressure of starting a new job. But everything changed one Sunday afternoon around 4:47 p.m. Sarah had dozed off on the couch and woke suddenly to the sound of the front door lock turning. She rushed to check, but there was no one there, just the empty hallway and a faint smell of mildew that seemed to come from nowhere. It was strange, but she tried to rationalize it. Maybe the building was just old, or maybe someone ran by too quickly for her to notice. That's when she decided to install a small hidden camera near the front door, hoping to find some kind of explanation. The next morning, Sarah reviewed the footage, expecting to see a delivery guy, or maybe a glitch in the system. But what she saw left her speechless. At exactly 4:46 p.m., the camera captured a dark figure standing motionless just outside her door. He was tall, thin, wearing a long black coat and a wide-brimmed hat that shadowed most of his face. He didn't move. He just stood there for nearly 3 minutes until the camera went completely black, as if something had covered the lens. When the image came back, he was gone. No sound, no trace. Sarah called the building manager, but he denied any strange activity. He told her the hallway cameras had been offline for months and that no one else had access to that floor on Sunday afternoon. Her next-door neighbor, an elderly woman who barely ever left her apartment, just said one thing. "You saw the man in the hallway? He always picks someone new when the days start getting shorter." In the days that followed, the sightings became more frequent. Sarah started noticing that every day at exactly 4:47 p.m., the hallway lights would flicker 3 times, and an unbearable cold would flood into her apartment, even with the heaters on full blast. One time, when she opened the door to look outside, she saw wet footprints on the floor. They stretched all the way from the far end of the hallway, stopping right at her door. But the most disturbing moment came when she found a note slid underneath the door. It read, "Don't open the door when he knocks." He's still deciding. The handwriting was shaky, uneven, like it had been written by someone whose hands were frozen. That night, Sarah didn't sleep. She sat on the floor, a kitchen knife in hand, eyes fixed on the front door until sunrise. Nothing happened. The next day, the clock hit 4:47 again, and this time he knocked. 3 knocks, dry, slow, spaced out. A long pause between each one. Sarah froze. She crept toward the door and looked through the peephole, but no one was there. Still, a shadow stretched across the floor outside, like someone was standing there, perfectly still. Time seemed to slow down. She remembered the note. Don't open it. But what if someone needed help? What if it was just a prank? Or worse, what if it wasn't? She slowly backed away, locked every window, and headed to the kitchen. She grabbed the knife again. The digital clock changed to 4:48 p.m. And then everything stopped. No sound, no lights, just absolute silence. The door never opened. The shadow disappeared. That night, Sarah stayed at a friend's house. She brought only her phone and a change of clothes. The next morning, she came back to pick up a few things and found her front door wide open. Nothing had been stolen, but something had been left in the middle of the living room. A soaking wet black hat dripping onto the carpet. The security camera smashed. The footage from the day before completely corrupted. Sarah moved out that same afternoon, but even now, every time the clock hits 4:47 p.m., she thinks about the man standing in the hallway, waiting, choosing, and she still wonders, has he picked someone new, or is he still waiting for her? If you live alone, listen carefully. Not every knock on the door deserves an answer, especially when the clock says 4:47 p.m. Love chilling horror stories? Then like the video, subscribe to our horror channel, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next dark tale. New scary stories every week, made to mess with your mind. If you live alone, listen carefully. Not every knock on the door deserves an answer, especially when the clock says 4:47 p.m.